Back inside Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league. He's Ari Timken. I'm James Westling. You're listening to us on TuneIn, watching on the Big 12 Fast Channel, Big 12 Studios. We welcome in the Commissioner, Brett Yormark, here on the program. Good morning, Brett.
Good morning, guys. It's great to be with you both today.
Man, the basketball has been, it feels like each and every Saturday feels like the NCAA tournament in the Big 12, and you've said this is the best league in America, and we're with you on that. So in your eyes, what separates the Big 12 from the SEC and the Big 10 and the ACC in hoops right now?
Well, first, guys, it's been a great season to date. I think the top half of this conference is the best it's been in years. And you're right. Game in and game out, ranked versus ranked is happening in this conference, and it creates some compelling matchups. And it does feel like March Madness. I mean, I was at, as an example, the Arizona-Kansas game on Monday night, and I was receiving a ton of texts from friends, and they said, Brett, this feels like a Final Four game. And it was. I mean, the atmosphere there was incredible. But we're finding that across our campuses this year. And candidly, across the country, I think there's incredible excitement for college basketball. But the focus, obviously, is on the Big 12, and I think a lot of it is based on the great freshmen we have. It's been unbelievable, and they're no longer freshmen now. I mean, these are bona fide players that are contributing at the highest levels to their programs, and many of them are projected first-round draft picks. I mean, we should have 3 of our freshmen in the top 5 this year. But we also have, at the same time, returning veterans. Those have been in the Big 12 that continue to raise their game to a new level. So the mix of both makes for just a very interesting season for us. So very excited about our basketball product, but it is also it's not just on the men's. The women's are having a great season too. Lots of parity there. When you think about, our women's product, and, the road to our tournament in Kansas City is going to be incredible. A lot of drama. And then, of course, when it unfolds in Kansas City, it's just going to be amazing.
Speaking of Kansas City, we cannot wait to see what this ASB glass floor looks like. With the announcement made this week, it's really exciting. Can you just describe why this is a game changer for the league?
Well, we're always trying to elevate the game in everything we do. I mean, you guys know that better than most, and we are a different league, and we like to lean into that point of differentiation. And being different means we've got to be first movers, we've got to be innovative. And I think the glass floor is truly indicative of our position as a conference. And we've been exploring it candidly for the last couple of years. Last year, as you know, we introduced our version of a Gucci pattern, and it went viral. It was well received. The players enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed it. I think our fans ultimately warmed up to it once they, experienced it. So my team and I were thinking about how do we take it to another level this year. And my head of business, Tyrell, my head of basketball, Brian, had been, having continued conversation with the folks from ASB. And candidly, over the holiday, when I went to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, I stopped in Orlando because that's where they have a warehouse that houses the glass floor, and experienced it, looked at it, saw the creative flexibility, saw the brand integration possibilities, saw what it would mean for fans in the venue, from an experience perspective, and said, hey, why not? And then we got buy-in from the coaches and the ADs. So it was a pretty quick process, but I'm thrilled about it. And I think our fans are going to enjoy it that are in the arena. I think it's going to drive a lot of curiosity from viewers at home just to see what does this floor look like. We're going to truly be able to activate it during timeouts, quarter breaks, pregame, halftime, postgame. And the nice thing about it is the earlier rounds will have one creative application. And then as you progress to the semis, you'll have a different court, creative presentation, if you will. And then we'll have something more dramatic for the finals. So I'm really excited about the flexibility that the floor affords us. And I think the fans are going to love it. But most importantly, I think our student athletes are going to enjoy it.
Yeah, the guys from ASB was telling us yesterday that over 1,000 players have played on those types of floors and practice on them. The guys from the NBA and even some Big 12 guys who when they're playing UCF will pop in to give it a trial run. So we cannot wait to see it. And speaking of, the audience and people watching at home or that'll be in Kansas City, the TV viewership this year in the Big 12, conference games on the women's side up 72%. On the men's side, the KU-BYU game was the most watched ESPN game day in any basketball game, any league in over 3 years. Just kind of a check-in with all the TV partners, and what does it say about the strength of the Big 12?
Well, it's been great. And, we talked about our media partners a little bit during Media Day in October. Starting with the women, the ratings are up, to your point. I think it's about 72% for conference play. And I think that speaks to the parity of our conference on the women's side, and also the talent across all of our teams. So that's very exciting. And then on the men's, we're up 30 plus on conference play. We're in the top 2 of conferences across America in viewership for conference play. So that's very exciting. And I think it's going to continue to grow because the back half of our conference schedule is obviously very robust. But I also think it speaks to the fact that we are the most distributed men's basketball product in collegiate athletics. We have 5 major media partners activating, promoting, and amplifying Big 12 basketball. So the diversification of our media business on the men's side has truly paid off. We spoke about it a little bit again at Media Days. We were hoping that ratings would grow and that we'd have increased promotion. And that certainly has come to fruition. And I think it's going to get better over the course of the last couple of weeks of the conference season.
And just expanding on that, Kamish, it's really interesting because it feels like, national media continues to talk about tanking in the NBA and, how bad it is or whatever. And as opposed to the product, and a big reason for that is because of all of the freshmen that are exploding right now in college basketball. So it's almost like not to say the negativity around tanking in the NBA has drawn a larger audience to college because it's saying, like, look at all these players that all of these teams are trying to actively lose games for in order to get to.
You're absolutely right. I've been reading a lot about that recently. In fact, I saw this morning 2 NBA teams were fined substantially.
Yeah.
For resting players. Having said that, it could be one of the best freshman classes going into the NBA in years.
Yeah.
We certainly are at the top of the freshman class when you think about what's going on in our conference, but it's across, college basketball generally. So I think it's just raising the interest level. And it's been a very exciting year, and I'm really looking forward to the tournament in March. I'd be surprised if we don't win a national championship. We've got many schools that certainly can vie for one, and I'm hoping that we get it. Last year we were so close, and sometimes you have to go through that before you get the one you want. And I'm hoping this year we can be a champion, one of our schools.
Man, with all the schools that are going to be 1 or 2 seeds in the NCAA tournament, I mean, we think this is a year that multiple teams are in the Final Four from the Big 12. I mean, do you feel like that is a strong possibility when you look at the strength there with the top 5 or 6?
I do. I was on the phone with a fellow commissioner this morning, and we were just talking hoops early this morning, and he, referenced how healthy we are, our conference this year. And, listen, you got to get lucky. We've been talented the last couple of years, but we weren't the best version of ourselves, some of our schools, because of health reasons heading into the tournament. This year, knock on wood, we've been healthy. And people have seen the best of the Big 12. And hopefully that continues getting into the tournament so that we can be the best version of ourselves. And if we are, to your point, my expectation is we'll have more than one in the Final Four.
Yeah, well said. So curious with the court itself. I mean, have you figured out some of the specifics on, what some of the digital enhancements will be, some of the marketing opportunities? I mean, how is that ongoing? Is it set? Is the court going to be, changing a lot? Like, I'm just very curious as to how this is going to look.
So my marketing team and content team are working on that right now. And it continues to evolve. And we're working very closely with the folks from ASB to make sure we get it right. We're also looking at what's been done before. In 2024, the court was used at the All-Star game on All-Star Saturday. Many EuroLeague teams use it. So we're in contact with EuroLeague teams just to see what the best applications are. One of the things we won't do is see a lot of movement during time of play. We don't want that to serve as a distraction. So it'll be somewhat static during those moments. But during timeouts, during quarter breaks, we'll activate it. And there could be some opportunities to activate the apron during play, but we want to minimize that because this is the first year and we want to gain some traction. Our goal is to be partnered with ASB long term, and being the first year, we want to get it right. We want to make sure that the student athletes have a good experience, that there aren't distractions on the court. We're not going to try to overly monetize it with commercial application and integration, although it's amazing. Ever since we announced it, we've been getting calls from different brands saying, I want to be a part of that.
I bet.
And we're going to make an announcement in about a week or so of a great brand that called us and said, we must be a part of what you're doing in KC. And it really fits, the whole glass floor dynamic. So it'll be an interesting announcement. But we're going to really tone down the commercialization of it and really amplify, what we can do for our schools and our student athletes, because that's the right way to kind of set the tone. But a lot of flexibility with the court. And we're just excited that we're doing something different.
That's amazing. Last one, and that is, Big 12 Today and Big 12 Radio super excited that we re-upped with Modelo. What's the Big 12's thoughts on that partnership?
Listen, I love Modelo. Renee, who runs the brand out of Chicago, is a good friend of mine. In fact, our relationship dates back to they were the official beer of the Barclays Center.
Wow.
When we opened Barclays Center, they were becoming very aggressive about getting into venues and into big markets like Brooklyn. So I've had a long time relationship with those folks. They're great partners. Obviously, they're really supportive of collegiate athletics. I mean, I think their biggest position obviously is the CFP, but they're also looking at basketball more now than ever before, and they love the partnership with you guys. So I appreciate all the work you do with them and for them. And I'm glad that they re-upped and are a part of the conference.
Awesome stuff. The Commissioner, Brett Yormark, joining us here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, heard on TuneIn, powered by Modelo, watched on Big 12 Studios. Brett, cannot wait to see this floor in person when we see you up in Kansas City here in a few weeks.
I look forward to seeing you guys. Thank you both for all you do, and we'll see each other real soon.
All right.
Thanks, Commissioner. Take care.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank
Brett
you.
Yormark. Brett Yormark, the Commissioner of the Big 12, breaking down the Big 12's new partnership with ASB, and that man is full of teases, the tease of all teases. We've been teasing the floor drops, and then right there during that interview he says we'll have another big announcement here in about a week about who might be part of this whole thing that'll be in Kansas City.
He famously has a whiteboard in his office, and it's just full of ideas. And, look, not all ideas make it to execution, but many do. And, the dude just doesn't stop working. And, for the member institutions of the Big 12, man, has he just been an incredible lifesaver. When we think about where this conference has been, on the brink of extinction to, being in position now as such an innovative league at the forefront of everything. And look, I mean, go back, like he first started, he wanted to do the basketball Rucker Park thing. They did it. It hasn't been something they've returned to. So I think, he's so forward thinking, he's so innovative, but he puts the manpower behind the things that he thinks work and work long term, and sometimes they might do things that don't work and they switch. But the ASB glass floor stuff, I cannot wait to see it. And I know there are probably a lot of Big 12 fans that are like, oh, it's just gonna be like a billboard, constant billboard. And he just said it right there. Like, yeah, they're going to lean into the commercialization opportunities that are there. But year one is not about commercialization opportunities. It's more about leaning into the student athletes and enhancing that experience. And and I think moving forward for this league, it's all about how much money the league takes in and then returns to its member institutions. This is a league that's trying to make up for the difference in revenue between other leagues, and they've got the right man in the driver's seat in order to drive that innovation, drive that revenue. And it's an uphill climb, but Yormark is doing everything he possibly can to turn over every rock in order to find the money that makes sense commercialization opportunities that make sense for the league. I mean, he's awesome. He's an incredible worker, and the dude is just he doesn't stop.
Yeah, and I love that because I've had, I'm sure your phone's been going bananas the last 24 hours since this has dropped. The question about, like, what is the floor actually going to look like?
Right.
And he clarified, and this is the information we were searching for as well. When the teams are actually playing the games, the court remains static. There's not going to be animations and graphics and all these different things while the ball is in play and these teams are actually playing the game. All that stuff is during timeouts or between games. But really cool that they can actually, they can completely swap out the floor design. Like the quarters and the semis and the championship can all look different. The design of the actual court itself.
Make no mistake about it. Within the next 5 to 10 years, and maybe even before then, every single basketball court in America at the professional and college level will have this court. Because it'll become a standard for a million reasons.
Yep.
And it'll be customized in all different kinds of ways. Think about a future in which a coach calls a timeout, the team huddles around, and he's drawing on the floor.
Right. And that can happen at the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City. It's amazing. I made the hardwood floors blockbuster This Is Netflix reference yesterday.
Yes, that's it.
Now I think, comparing it to football, this is the first down, the yellow line that's on your television screen. That is this. Now everybody has it. Somebody had to do it first, and the Big 12's all over it. All right, coming up next, we will preview some of the Big 12 men's basketball games. Another huge weekend featuring TCU and Oklahoma State. That's a massive matchup. Kansas and Iowa State, and then some others, including a non-conference game that'll have a big impact on the Big 12 and its pedigree. Our Hoop It Up segment is coming up next here on Big 12 Radio.